So it's been amazing. The autism thing came up kind of on my blind side. After medical school in South Carolina, I got out in 2000, and my wife and I did our training in Los Angeles. And I got heavy exposure to autism there because they were really, truthfully, a lot further ahead than some other places in terms of recognizing autism and intervening. And I just got a huge amount of exposure to it, but wasn't really interested necessarily. I really wanted to be a child therapist and do meds, but do a lot of child therapy and family therapy. After I finished training, my wife and I went back to Charleston in 2006, and I just started seeing waves of these kids coming in with autism, especially high-functioning autism. Yeah. And I just had this kind of spidey sense for seeing them and recognizing them. And then we developed some programming there in Charleston that I think was a result of like falling in love with the kids, and their families. And it was really social skills for the kids, and then parent support and education for the parents, always two groups at the same time. And then we'd sprinkle the medication management visits in there. So it was really kind of a cohesive approach, and just realizing that the parents are the drivers. So I was still able to do that, like child work, family work. And then something interesting happened, which is you start working with all these kids who are second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, and then you turn around and you realize they haven't been staying the same age the whole time. And now these adorable little kids are, adults who have finished high school and maybe aged out of services, are now 23, 24, and needing social skills training and needing vocational resources. A lot of them were very lonely, isolated, which to me leads to depression and anxiety. And if you don't connect with a tribe of some kind, it's very disheartening. So I kind of followed that thread all the way through. And it probably, the culmination of that was a movie we made in April 2024, which was called the Autism News Network Experience. And it was kind of like Kentucky Fried Movie, where we had about 15 5-minute sections on 3 categories. One was the Autism News Network patients discussing their lived experience. And then another type of format we had in that was them meeting somebody of interest, like the mayor of Charleston and the mayor of Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. And then the third piece was just sketch comedy. So it gave them an opportunity to write something creative and film it and be silly. And so basically we just kind of put all those into an hour and 15-minute movie, and put some transitions between them. And we had a showing, a premiere at the auditorium where I worked, and a red carpet and all that. And it was just amazing. And at the end of that film, our Autism News Network participants got up on stage and took a bow. And it was just, like I said, you fall in love with the kids and then you're cooked. So I would just be so focused on how we can get this kid better at editing, or get this kid better at interviewing, or writing a script for a comedy. So it was awesome to see their growth. And the best part was that we kind of built a community for adults with autism. And you have these little side experiences where, like, I'm seeing a mom and her son for med management, and she says, 2 weeks ago, he asked me if he could go to the fair with 2 or 3 people from his group, and they don't drive. So the mom said she took her son and picked up these 2 or 3 other people, and she said, that was the first time I was ever in a car with my son and some of his friends. And when you're raising a child without, developmental conditions, you take that for granted, where you throw 4 kids in the back, drive the soccer game. She said she had never had that. And so that's the kind of thing that makes you keep going, right?
Yeah.